Who are the top 5 teams to look out for this season? How does high school esports work? What is HSEL's stance on exclusivity? And what teams had the biggest upsets during preseason? All of those questions will be answered in this video and more because this is the High School Esports Report. I'm your host, Coach Olney, and listen, today is a very important day because it is officially the launch of Spring Major. But what does that mean? Well, I'll explain in a second what Spring Major is and how the league works, but if you are a veteran in HSEL, don't worry, you can use the timestamps to skip this part and go straight into the top 5 teams to look out for this season. Okay, so now to begin, I'm going to attempt to explain how the High School Esports League works and what you need to know in under a minute. Alright, here it goes. The Spring Major is one of 2 majors in the High School Esports League following the Fall Major that runs September through December. This year, the top 4 teams from the Fall and Spring Major get invited to HSEL Nationals, a 3-day tournament in May where their students will compete for their share of the $150,000 scholarship pool available. There are 2 weeks of practice called Preseason before the regular season begins. Preseason does not affect your regular season, but does give you an opportunity to face off against teams you may be seeing during the regular season. Regular season will last for 8 weeks where teams will compete in 1 matchup per week to establish their regular season record. From there, the top teams get invited to playoffs where they will compete in a very intense single elimination tournament to determine who's going to get the tickets to nationals, and the winner of the tournament also gets an additional $500 scholarship per player. If you have to miss a match during the season or want to compete and aren't signed up yet, don't worry, there's still time as each season has 2 makeup windows that your team can take advantage of if you have to miss a match. To compete, we use what's called our queue system. Each game has dedicated times that you must play and pick from to play your match. You do not need to schedule with your opponent during the regular season. Our system does that for you. Think of it like queuing up for your favorite ranked playlist. Okay. I think that was under a minute, but at least now you're all caught up on how the league works, and I want to take a moment to share a letter from our CEO, Mason. Mason is one of the founders of the High School Esports League who hosted the first official high school tournament back in 2012. Since then, we have seen a lot of growth and changes in the scene, but that change isn't always good. Recently, contracts have been signed that are referred to as exclusivity deals. These deals have hurt students and their access to compete in esports, so today, Mason wanted to take a moment to share our stance on the situation and make it very clear. 10 years have passed since we started HSEL, and much has changed in the scholastic esports community. Although change is good for progress, there are some things that should stay fundamental. Stripping away opportunities from students, educators, coaches, and parents by claiming exclusivity to video game titles goes against the foundations of Generation Esports. I and the Generation Esports team want to make it clear by taking an official stance on exclusivity in scholastic esports. Generation Esports, including High School Esports League, Middle School Esports League, and its college endeavors, will never pursue exclusive rights to titles. For us, our community, from educators to students, will always stand at the forefront of all that we do. People don't see that behind the scenes, for years, we paid for everything out of our pockets, maxing out credit cards to pay for prizing, and doing everything we could to support the esports community. We are always looking to reduce esports costs to zero for students, find pathways for funding programs, and create a level and open playing field for all. Our passion will always be to put students and educators first, no matter our status. We'll continue listening and striving towards these ideals for our deserving communities and the betterment of scholastic esports. The way forward for esports is together through inclusion, not exclusion. Thank you for that statement, Mason, and thank you to everyone who chooses to compete with us and who has spoken up on social media about these contracts and how they've affected you. And with that, let's get into the action. Since today is the first day of the regular season, we're actually going to be covering all of the exciting things that happened during the preseason that you might not know about, starting out with our top 5 teams to look out for. Coming in at number 5, this team placed 4th last season for CSGO and is now looking to expand into other shooters. Atascocita High lands themselves 3rd on the preseason leaderboard for Rainbow Six Siege on PC. The team won all of their preseason matches and are looking to redeem themselves from the fall by trying to earn themselves a ticket to nationals in multiple titles. Coming in at the number 4 spot, we actually have 2 teams in mind that you should be looking out for. Leviathan's A and B Vanguard team. Competing from Buckhannon Upshur High School, These teams entered the season unranked, but during preseason, Leviathan A actually beat the number 9th ranked team, May South Mavericks, in a 3-1 matchup. At our number 3 spot, we have the Ridgewood High Maroons, who are looking to add their 3rd team to Nationals. Having won the R6 Xbox League and finding success in 2K last season, the Ridgewood Maroons are now looking to throw down the gauntlet on the virtual car soccer field. Securing the 2nd most wins during the preseason in Rocket League, the Maroons found themselves above Snyder High, the number 5th ranked team on the preseason leaderboards. Coming in at number 2, the Liberty North Eagles have been dominating the chess scene. With 4 of their players appearing on the top 10 in the preseason leaderboard, there should be some exciting matchups to watch out for coming into the regular season. They have 10 players in total registered for the league, which means there is a possibility Liberty North could clean sweep all top 10 placements in the playoffs with enough practice, of course. Hopefully their team continues to grow, and Samik from Rancho Solano is prepared for a battle this season. And the number 1 team to keep on your radar this season is none other than Liberty High's Redhawks Valorant team, going undefeated through all of preseason and even pulling an upset over the number 5 ranked team, Wichita East. This Redhawks varsity team shows no mercy to their opponents, even clinching a victory against their very own Redhawks JV team. Assuming Hebron makes another appearance this season, Liberty High will be sure to give them some tough matchups and a run for their money in finals. Speaking of upsets, now let's get into a couple more big upsets that went down during the preseason. We found most of the action actually going down during the Rocket League matchups. We saw 2 teams, Normal West High School and Bear River High, dominate their matchups against a school called DTSMA, who was seeded 1st last season before being knocked out of the playoffs by none other than our favorite underdogs, Dog Dynasty, who come into this season ranked number 4. And finally, the Summit Hilltoppers Rocket League team also exercised a large upset. They were the only team to 4-0 the Richmond Maroons during preseason. The Maroons were a team who had not previously been on the Rocket League leaderboards until this season. With that matchup against the Maroons being the only game Summit competed in during the preseason, the regular season matches will be a much better indicator of how the competition will look. For all we know though, the Summit Hilltoppers may actually be one of the biggest threats to our Rocket League contenders this season. That's going to do it for preseason matchups, and if you want to see some of these matchups live this season, you're going to have to head to our Twitch page and watch our show called Homeroom, which begins next Monday. HSEL Homeroom is our premier broadcast covering the Spring Major on Twitch. Homeroom not only highlights one of your matches, but also takes you through a breakdown of the tournament, highlights from the week, and helps you understand the leaderboards and where your team might be at. This season, anyone competing in Valorant, Rocket League, or Call of Duty is eligible to be on the show. We have spectators recording matches every single week, and if you get an alert that HSEL is putting a spectator in your match, that's your sign that you might be featured. We would love to expand coverage to more games, and you can help us do that by showing your support and tuning into Twitch to watch Homeroom. Alright, and that's going to do it for this week's report. If you're still watching this video, you obviously love high school esports, so make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future episodes. With that, I'll see you next week.